Today on the Star Trek Critic, a life form that lives in space attacks a group of colonizers.
Yes!
And once again, they stole this valuable farming tool from this little old man and woman. How cruel can they get? It's obvious that this planet is already inhabited by somebody, since this looks like a freshly manicured park, not wildlands. And they want to ruin this land with a school and art center, and residential pods for more colonists coming in 6 months. The first point is lost since Carmen and the others are dressed too nice for a construction team. Face it, Carmen just wants to get into Riker's pants. And their conversation is so tacky. They are into sadomasochism. You don't strike me, how do I strike you? The joy is making a home, having children. How about dinner? Sure, I have wine and MRE chicken. As usual, Star Trek writers are terrible at romance talk. No wonder they are all single. The next point is lost since there is no ship in orbit for protection. Here comes the Crystalline entity to rescue the planet from the evil colonizers. And there they go, escaping while the entity clears the land out for a new golf course. Riker plays the pass the kid game to Data. Why are there kids here to begin with? Another point is lost for the stereotypical old man falling down. Riker gets to see Carmen and the old man eaten alive and is thinking, well, I won't be getting laid tonight. This episode is Silicon Avatar. As usual, when someone opens a door, another person crosses. Jean-Luc does Picard maneuver number 1, while a point is taken for a boom mic reflection. Another point lost for opening credits more than 6 minutes into the show. They have lost communication with the planet. Worf says I number 1. Then points out if they left a scout ship behind, this would have never happened. Geordi says something strange is going on, like the narrator is using an AI-generated voice or something. Picard says increase to warp 8, maybe we can outrun that AI voice. The steps in the cave are proof that the planet was inhabited by someone else. Riker and Data close themselves in. Then Riker performs Picard maneuver number 2. Beverly asks, what happened to Carmen? Riker says, she was eaten alive, but I still have her wine and MRE chicken, so how about you and me tonight? Beverly says, that's sexist. They always worry about the air supply in such a big cave. They should really worry about fresh water. Here, Data says the rocks can interfere with communication, then mentions he was afraid, he was petrified. But will he survive? Back on the Enterprise, Deanna reassures Picard they could be safe. Picard asks Worf how long. Worf says, that's a personal question, Captain. The rescue team comes and looks at the carnage, thinking, man, this was the Golden Oak Ranch. Disney is going to be pissed at what Paramount did to it. 1 point lost here. The Enterprise is in orbit around that planet. But how did Dr. Keelamar get there? Did another ship drop her off? We never find out. The narration claims she has dedicated her life to studying the entity. Considering her son was killed on Omicron Theta 30 years ago, that would make sense. But the Enterprise crew had no knowledge of her 4 years ago, so 1 point lost for a timeline error. The first red flag is when she says android and not Data. 1 point lost since she doesn't have a staff. Not this kind of staff. This kind. 1 point lost for a single set of doors on the turbolift. Beverly complains that she normally sits by the window, but the guest star is in her seat. Dr. Marr says, look, my dress matches the chair. Picard says, Dr. Marr, are you related to my grandmother? Data talks about penetrating a barrier. Dr. Marr says, Data is disgusting, I don't want to work with him. Deanna says, I have less than 5 lines in this show, so -1 point, and you shouldn't put them together. Picard says, Deanna, you should know by now we never take your advice. Dr. Marr is holding the tricorder upside down, so -1 point. This is one of the rare times where you actually see a science crew. I bet those extras were running for their lives in the previous scene. Dr. Marr ignores Data like a pissed-off girlfriend. She accuses Data of being with other women and ruining her summer vacation. Data says he wasn't even there. Dr. Marr says that's what all you men say. Then Data admits arguing with him is pointless, and human men are jealous of his ability to piss off women just by not having the emotional ability to give a shit on what women are accusing him of. Marr says, that just proves you are guilty, and I'm going to have you disassembled piece by piece. The next point is lost for doing this research in engineering. The Enterprise is massive. They must have a science station just for planetary research, and it is highly unlikely that she never thought of scanning for gamma radiation in 30 years of study. Another point lost for Data's timeline on Omicron Theta. How much time did they have to download all that information into him? Dr. Marr said bridge, but they both got off at a different level, -1 point. And now they are on the bridge, they just took the scenic route. They predict it will go to the Brechtian cluster that has 2 inhabited planets. Picard says, let's talk in my ready room. Riker and Deanna are both thinking, ooh, somebody's getting an ass whooping now. Picard says, let's go destroy this thing. Dr. Mar says, no, don't you realize? It only eats people on planets that you colonized. It is the freedom fighter for these innocent planets who are attacked by the Imperialist Federation. You have proof right here in your office. Livingston the lionfish is the most invasive species on Earth, and you proudly display it right here for all to see. Picard says, Dr. Mar, I think the narrator is drunk typing again. Dr. Mar blames the second baseman. Data practices his guitar so he can perform with Sonny Clemens and pick up some low-mileage pit woofies. Dr. Mar comes in and apologizes for being such a little bitch. Then she asks if he has memories of her son. Data admits he is not an evil spirit. But are these intense recollections recordings of the colonists having a last-minute orgy? Of course, you never learn why a single mom would leave her teenage son on a rustic planet with friends. It's never explained what type of work she was doing at the time. She is truly suffering from survivor's guilt. Back on the bridge, Riker is still standing right behind Picard like the little ass-kisser that he is. The Callisto is under attack, and they are defenseless. Does Picard really think changing course will save them? Dr. Mar has a flashback. According to the stardate, a little over a day has passed. This captain's log explains to the audience that the Enterprise found the ship during the commercial break. Jean-Luc does Picard maneuver number 3, Worf says I number 2, Geordi says I number 3. Dr. Mar is worried that her son suffered terribly when he died. Data reassures her that when the colonists see that the end is coming, they go to the caves for a last-minute orgy. He says, that's why I hate being on the bridge when we are under attack. The Arboretum is the place to be. Most likely your son was doing the nasty with his girlfriend. Picard takes his foot off the table. How unprofessional. 1 point lost for the door knowing Riker wasn't going to go through. Riker wants to destroy the entity. Picard calls him out on his BS and says, Will, you're only mad because you didn't get laid that day. This is one of the rare times you see them have a conflict. Riker stomps out and the doors magically know he won't stop this time. Picard decides he'll write that letter instead. Back in Data's office, Dr. Mar talks about her son. As usual, only teenagers play Paris sees squares, and according to Remy, Janina was stacked. On a serious note, losing a child is one of the most traumatic things a parent can go through, and they never recover from it. She should probably be in therapy for life. Her quest could get her killed just like Captain Ahab. And it really is a nice gesture for Data to read one of his letters for her. About another day and a half has passed. Did they warn the 2 planets in the Brechtian cluster? Of course, Picard probably thinks saving them would violate the Prime Directive. He can be a douche like that sometimes. Now they are going to test their theory on using the graviton vibrations to attract the creature. Worf says I number 4. When the entity shows up, Dr. Mar says, it's beautiful. This scene is similar to the ending of the movie The Life Aquatic, where they search for the killer jaguar shark for revenge. But when they found the shark in its natural habitat, they let it go. As usual, Picard is fascinated that they found a creature living in space, and it is trying to communicate with them. This could be the success story they were praying for. Unfortunately, Dr. Mar turns into this troubled mom, and her 30 years experience around ship's computers enables her to lock out the frequency. Oh look, Deanna actually gets a line. The next point is lost for this special effect since the stars also shake, not just the crystal. And there goes the crystalline entity.
Aww.
After this, they will have to make sure none of these little crystal shards come to life, or else they will be in deep trouble. As you can see, Picard is pissed. Unfortunately for Dr. Mar, she caused a lot of problems, and her mental problems are going to haunt her even more, and Data, of course, is no help at all. But he does tell her like it is. Remy was proud of her as a scientist, but not the evil kind. She will need therapy for years, and learns the hard way the moral of this show is that revenge will get you nowhere. Susan D. Yole played Carmen, and she was once married to Sean Cassidy. She has several stage credits and 62 screen credits, including Herman's Head, Quantum Leap. And she will be back on Voyager. And yes, she sacrificed her life so she wouldn't have to sleep with Riker. Ellen Gear has taught acting at UCLA, artistic director of the Theatrical Botanicum in Topanga, and has 130 screen credits, including The Bionic Woman, The Waltons, Something Wicked This Way Comes, and Phenomenon. Not only was her mother on Star Trek, her daughter will have a part in Picard, and you will be happy to know her 3 children are alive and well and safe from the crystalline entity. And the crystalline entity played itself, Silicon Avatar, where a troubled mom gets her revenge on the crystalline entity, gets a score of 84%.
Yes!
Thanks for viewing. Be sure to leave comments below. Click the like button, the share button, and the subscribe button. And next week, the Enterprise hits a pothole in space.